The Buffalo Bills have taken another punch to the gut, and this time it hits two players who have become vital pieces of Sean McDermott's weekly game plan. Just when it felt like this team couldn't possibly absorb more bad news, another wave of injuries has slammed into the roster at the worst possible moment. As the Bills shift from that heartbreaking battle with the Houston Texans toward preparations for Pittsburgh, the situation is only becoming more troubling. This isn't just another routine update, these are major blows that could reshape the lineup for weeks. Two key contributors suffered significant setbacks, and the timing could not be more damaging for a team trying to keep its season alive. The Bills have been fighting uphill all year, and somehow the climb keeps getting steeper. Before we dive deeper into the latest developments, take a moment to subscribe, hit the like button, and ring the bell so you never miss breaking Bills updates. Before listening to the latest news, subscribe to the channel, like it, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Let's move on to the new news. Now, back to the situation unfolding in Buffalo. According to reports coming out of the team facility, injuries continue to snowball, and two starters are now in danger of heading toward injured reserve. Right tackle Spencer Brown and linebacker Terrel Bernard, both relied upon heavily this season, are facing uncertain timelines after what happened on Thursday night. Their recoveries have not progressed the way the staff had hoped, and if things do not improve soon, the Bills could be forced to make difficult roster decisions. Thursday night wasn't just a loss on the scoreboard, it was a night that left the Buffalo Bills battered, shaken, and scrambling for answers. What unfolded against Houston went far beyond the final score. The injury wave that has haunted this team all season struck again, taking out two players the coaching staff desperately needs on the field. The first blow came when Terrel Bernard, already navigating a season filled with setbacks, was spotted on the sideline with his arm immobilized. Moments later, he was ruled out with an elbow injury. The fear on the sideline was real. The early concern was that the damage resembled the kind of biceps tear that ended Ed Oliver's regular season. Thankfully, Bernard appears to have avoided that nightmare scenario, but the elbow injury he suffered is still significant, and the path to returning quickly is steep. Then came the second gut punch. Right tackle Spencer Brown tried everything he could to grit through his injury, but reports now indicate he may have torn his labrum. Surgery is the long-term fix, but the short-term hope, if the Bills dare to chase it, would be to brace the shoulder and see if he can manage the pain. Even that option would require weeks of recovery before he'd be capable of stepping onto the field. The margin for error on the offensive line was already thin, and this takes the strain to another level. Brown's absence would hit harder than most people realize. He has quietly been one of the Bills' most dependable pieces all season, anchoring the right side of the line with rare size and athleticism. At 6 feet 8 inches, he's a critical part of the run game success and part of a tackle pairing that has been among the league's strongest. His performance against Tampa Bay, graded above 81 by PFF, highlighted how dominant he's been at times. Losing that kind of stability up front doesn't just hurt, it changes how the entire offense operates. Bernard's injury is concerning, but replacing him is far more manageable. The Bills can look to in-house depth or explore short-term options outside the building. Replacing Brown, however, is a far more daunting challenge. His combination of size, strength, and movement is not something you simply find waiting on a practice squad. Replacements are the next part of this story, and the options aren't as straightforward as fans might hope. Spencer Brown's situation becomes even more remarkable when you consider how hard he fought to stay on the field. With his shoulder clearly compromised, he still battled through snap after snap, refusing to tap out. Anyone watching could see he was essentially playing with one functioning arm, yet his instinct was to keep grinding until the staff finally pulled him for his own protection. That's not a criticism, that's the definition of toughness. Once Brown was forced to the sideline, Ryan Van DeMark stepped in, but the difference was obvious. The offense lost rhythm, protection tightened, and the run game stalled. If anything, those struggles underscored just how valuable Brown has become. Even at half strength, he holds down the edge in a way few tackles can. This offensive line has quietly been one of the Bills' most dependable groups in recent years, especially in creating running lanes. Brown's presence has been central to that identity. His impact isn't measured solely in grades or stats, it's felt in the consistency of the offense, in the comfort of the quarterback, and in the confidence the team has when attacking on the ground. The real shock came when the possibility of Brown landing on injured reserve became realistic. That thought alone raised a question that's been irrelevant for years: when was the last time the Bills lost a starting offensive lineman to IR? Looking back, the answer is surprisingly distant. It dates all the way to 2021, when John Feliciano went down. Since then, the Bills have enjoyed almost unheard of stability up front, avoiding major injuries among their starting blockers for 4 straight seasons. That streak now hangs in the balance, and the timing couldn't be worse. What the Bills have enjoyed up front over the past few seasons has been nothing short of rare. In a league where offensive linemen cycle in and out because of injuries every year, Buffalo managed to go 4 straight seasons without losing a single starter to injured reserve. That kind of continuity is almost unheard of, and it's one of the hidden reasons the offense has been able to function through so many ups and downs. But that run of stability now appears to be ending, and adjusting to life without Spencer Brown will be a challenge the Bills haven't had to face in years. For the first time in a long time, a player who wasn't expected to be a starter at the beginning of the season may be asked to anchor one of the most important positions on the field. This isn't just a lineup change, it's a shift in identity. As for replacements, don't expect a flurry of outside moves. Historically, Buffalo prefers leaning on players already in the building, and the early indication is that the team will stick with internal options unless something changes dramatically. At linebacker, Terrel Bernard's absence pushes a different set of candidates into the spotlight. Shaq Thompson, recently back from his own injury, is suddenly one of the most important pieces of the defense. Matt Milano, if he remains healthy, will need to stabilize the middle of the field, while young linebacker Dorian Williams becomes another key figure in the rotation. Beyond that trio, the Bills do have depth pieces who could be elevated into larger roles. Joe Andre, primarily a special teams contributor, is already on the active roster and could be called upon to absorb snaps on defense. And if help is needed from the practice squad, the team could revisit bringing back linebacker Jimmy Sharlow, the hard-working undrafted player who earned attention during camp and carved out a brief role earlier this year. The Bills have navigated adversity before, but this stretch demands creativity, resilience, and trust in the players who have been waiting for their opportunity. There's one scenario that longtime Bills fans know all too well, and it tends to spark frustration every time it comes up. Whenever injuries hit the linebacker room late in the year, the same familiar name seems to reappear: A.J. Klein. He's become almost a symbol of emergency depth in Buffalo, getting called off the couch more than once to patch holes in the lineup. And with the state of the defense right now, it wouldn't shock anyone if the front office dialed his number again. Whether fans like it or not, the coaching staff values familiarity, and that makes Klein a realistic option. Sean McDermott has always preferred defenders who already understand the system, and Klein checks that box. But Bills fans, and many inside the building, might prefer a more forward-looking solution. Another possibility is Baylon Spector. He's dealt with injuries and roster movement throughout the year, but his athleticism and familiarity with the scheme make him a candidate to return to a rotational role if the team needs additional depth. With both Spencer Brown and Terrel Bernard sidelined, the Bills are entering a stretch that will test their creativity and flexibility. Whether they lean on veterans who know the system or give newer faces a chance to step into meaningful roles, the decisions made in the coming days will shape how this team survives the weeks ahead.